Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip. Actually, 10 of them. Yes, I'm talking about another 10 tips to keep the ice in your ice cooler lasting longer. Now, I want to quantify these before we get started, as I have before. Number one, not all tips will apply to all the users in every situation or all coolers. Some tips may actually conflict with each other, or you can't do both tips at the same time. It's impossible to say whether a specific tip will add any time to your ice retention because there's simply too many variables. Some tips require a regimen with discipline. Some are easy no-brainers. Some cost considerable money, some don't cost much, and some don't cost any money, just your time. We're not talking about dry ice, salt ice, ice packs, or any powered coolers here. And remember, there is no magic bullet. There's nothing you're going to be able to do that will magically make the ice in your cooler last twice as long. If you got 4 days out of it in your last adventure, if you duplicated that trip perfectly and identically, the next time, there's nothing you can do to make it last 8. You might get 5, maybe 5.5 or 6, who knows? But you're definitely not going to just have an infinite amount of ice retention. So let's get started with these 10 tips. Number 31, if your cooler does not have a latch for the lid, use some sort of tape, duct tape, masking tape, something, or some sort of tie strap or even some paracord to tie the lid down to keep it from opening. If your cooler is bouncing around the back of your truck, you hit a bump, the contents shift, go up, hit the lid, pop it open, and now you've got the contents exposed. So lash that lid down somehow. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but don't drain the water unless it's absolutely necessary. Your water is not going to be 50 degrees. It's probably going to be just above freezing. And what's the temperature of your refrigerator? Usually just above freezing. So the water will absorb more heat given its volume than the same volume of air. So if you drain the water out, you're just simply letting air in, and that's going to be ambient temperature air, and it's going to melt your ice faster. So unless there is an absolute reason, like your product is threatened by the water, don't drain your water. Number 33, do not store your cooler in a vehicle unless it's absolutely necessary, such as when you're in bear country. Because even if you're parked in the shade, a vehicle will warm up warmer than the ambient temperature with all the windows closed. So don't store it in a vehicle. Number 34, do not use your cooler as a workbench, a saw station, a seat, a ladder, or a step stool. Excessive weight and pressure on the lids can distort and crack it, which can cause leaks and twists and bows around the lid, and then you've got air leakage into the cooler. Number 35, when you're not using your sleeping bag during the day, throw it on top of your cooler. And if you are using your sleeping bag for an afternoon nap, you can always throw an extra jacket or long sleeve shirt over your cooler to give it a little extra layer of insulation. Number 36, we're going back to reflective again. You can wrap your cooler with reflect. You can do it really quick and simple and easy and throw some on there and duct tape it to transport your cooler to your destination. Then you can take it off and either throw it away or set it aside. Or you can take the time to make a custom fit cover, preferably 2-piece for your larger coolers, that you can take the top on and off and access the contents of your cooler, depending on how fancy you want to get. But having that extra air insulation is going to help. You can also wrap your cooler during the times that you're not going to be accessing it. Number 37, simply cover your cooler with an inexpensive space blanket when you're not going to be using it, either for transportation or when it's going to be sitting at the campsite all day where you're out on your adventure. Number 38, this is going to be a big one. Resist the urge to open your cooler just to check on the ice. Remember, these tips are for ice retention, not to see when you need to go get more ice. These tips are really designed for when you are not able to get more ice. You want to get the most longevity out of your ice as you possibly can. Constantly opening and closing your cooler just to check on the ice is not going to make it last any longer. In fact, it's going to let the cold air out and the warm air in, and your ice will not last as long. So don't open your cooler just to check the ice. Number 39, reduce the number of drinks that you have in your cooler. Now, I understand it's a great feeling to have a nice cold soda or a nice cold beer on a hot summer day. But if you're drinking water or some other liquid simply to stay hydrated, it doesn't have to be chilled out of the cooler. It can be ambient temperature. So simply having water available at ambient temperature to keep hydrated is going to keep the water out of your cooler, and that way you'll have more ice in your cooler to keep everything else in there cold and safe. So keep away from putting all your drinks into the cooler. Get used to drinking room temperature water. And finally, number 40, keep the little kids out of the coolers. Train them that if they want something to drink, to ask a responsible adult what they want to drink, and they will retrieve it for them. Smaller kids don't understand thermodynamics. They're going to open up the lid, they're going to look, they're going to see what's available. Do I want orange? Do I want grape? Do I want cola? Do I want root beer? Do I want water? What? And at the time they're standing there with this lid open, it simply reduces your ice longevity. So teach your younger kids to simply stay out of the cooler and ask an adult for something to drink. This is Backpack Hat coming at you with these 10 tips, number 31 through 40. I got one more video coming up, be 41 through 50, on how to retain the ice in your cooler. So this is Backpack Hat coming at you with this trail tip. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share my videos. Be safe out there, and I'll see you out on the trail.